I'm sorry, I'm leaving the meeting. I'm not prepared to go through this undemocratic process that you are adopting. The undemocratic process that Penrith Town Council is adopting.
The motion on notice is operation of the Penrith Lottery. To consider the motion on notice from Councillor Naggs. I'd like to invite Councillor Naggs to present the motion and move it.
Thank you. This is a proposal to fully and comprehensively investigate the advantages and disadvantages of the new Penrith Lottery becoming organised under the governance of the Town Council, and to make after investigating it, to make a report and a recommendation to a full council meeting at some later date. This is not a proposal to take over the lottery. The issue of the possible Town Council governance of the lottery was instigated by the Penrith Lottery Committee after they reviewed their operations and subsequently expressed its openness to collaborate with the PTC in exploring the whole of this issue. And there is a member of the committee here tonight to hear the debate, so I'm sure could confirm that position if it needed to be confirmed. I make that point emphatically because I've got to emphasise that these points because there was a wholly misleading headline that appeared last Friday on a local news media Facebook page which said Town Council eyes lucky numbers with plan to take over the Penrith Lottery. For goodness sake, how could we have a plan to take over the lottery when this is the first time it's ever been discussed at the Town Council? And this undermines the whole democratic process by putting misinformation into the public and getting a negative reaction before it's even been considered. It isn't even a recommendation to take over it, it's an investigation to see if it's a good idea. There are currently 97 councils and 234 charities running lotteries already, 421 altogether, very small lotteries. So I asked the Town Council to agree on an investigation into the issue to ensure that the future of the Penrith Lottery is secure and continues to thrive. A thorough investigation will lead to a well-informed decision about what would be the best outcome for the future of the lottery. If the PTC agrees tonight in considering this issue, we must remain absolutely open to the fact that we may conclude that we should not get involved. And of course the Lottery Committee may also conclude for the same or different reasons that we shouldn't proceed with it. But in considering this issue, I think the first step would be for officers and councillors to pull together a scoping document to structure a thorough investigation, which could ask questions of why the Lottery Committee feel that this is the appropriate moment to look at this, the legislative context in which it would operate, the costings in terms of staff time and resources, the impact on PTC and its work, the various models of operation that could be utilised to run the lottery, what might be the unintended consequences, what might happen if the existing lottery, if we don't decide to go ahead with the existing lottery and they want us to. All the income would be awarded to grants to voluntary organisations. Therefore, would it be advantage or disadvantage to combine the grant-giving organisations of the Town Council and the lottery? But I emphasise, whatever happens, the direction of the lottery, the whole income will continue to be awarded in grants to support local community groups. So, the motion is to recommend that we have an investigation to and collaborate with the Lottery Committee to look at the future governance of the scheme. Thanks.
Are you seconding? Are you seconding?
I am.
Thank you. I'm going to do something just a tiny little bit different than usual. We'll do all the usual questions and think for anybody that's got things to say. But I'd also like to get a view from the staff if I can at the end as well, because I think it's important to understand from their point of view what it's going to look like. Although, as you said, we are only talking about investigation at this stage. So, anybody questions or comments?
Yeah, I've
Jason?
sorry. Yeah, I just have a question. Is with all the other stuff that we've got going on, does this sort of fall into our top 10? I'm just worried about the time it's going to take. We've got potentially 2,000 finished routes with work streams. Is this going to divert our attention?
Well, answer that. An investigation will lead to a conclusion about what that might look like, but there are various models of running the lottery. There are companies that run lotteries for organisations. For example, our near neighbour in Allerdale and Lakeland, the one promoted by the Cumberland Council, I believe they have an outside company that runs many of the lotteries that I mentioned here tonight, and therefore it takes up very little time. But I think that it would be fair to say that the investigation would answer that question. Is it a priority? Why is it a priority? And how much time would it take?
I was going to just add on to that, because I think you were asking about the capacity to do the investigation.
Is that
the capacity
yes.
to deliver?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was probably going to pick up on that at the end, but do you want to pick it in and respond now?
We might as well respond.
Yeah, so from a staff perspective, obviously, Council has referred to a thorough investigative document, scoping out the pros, cons, disadvantages, and we would endorse that as staff. So we would see that a process of due diligence was required, and in effect, the business case being prepared for the full motion as proposed. We would view that proposal is supported tonight, that we sit down with council and examining officers to scope out all the areas that needs to go in that investigative document, and ensure then that that document is circulated around to all councillors for input to in effect confirm those areas or pick up on the areas that we've missed, with a view that then the research and the business case would commence. Staff capacity would have to be an issue to be considered, because as you rightly referred to, as you know, we have staff capacity down, and we do have other priorities that are still to be delivered that's been agreed at previous meetings. And I think as part of that scoping document, we would have to set a realistic timescale to come back to council.
So could I raise a sort of, is it an addendum to the motion? Could we perhaps wait until Ian and his colleagues have sort of assessed whether they do have capacity before we...
I think, to be honest, that would probably come out whether you approve what occurs at the vote tonight, and then that would come at the next step when we would sit down and that scoping document is circulated to members, agreeing a realistic timescale looking at future meeting dates. I think that's to be taken into consideration is what timescales is the lottery set and do its own investigation to its future delivery. We need to understand that. Yeah. We just need to be sensible if we approve it, how we resource it.
Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. I think I'll go and visit Carlisle United tomorrow, have talks, and suggest next month that we take over Carlisle United. I don't know where this ludicrous idea has come from. There is no mandate for this proposal. No one around this table had the power or authority to enter into any conversation with Penrith Lottery. Penrith Town Council has set responsibilities, core services, and running a lottery is not one of them. Penrith Lottery states on its website it has weekly draws. The last draw was August 16th, 6 weeks ago. In the last month it has only given out £9,000 in grants. Penrith Lottery has no Information Commissioner's Office registration. Penrith Lottery has no General Data Protection Registration Policy. Penrith Lottery stores Penrith Lottery stores personal information on third-party software. If Penrith Town Council took over Penrith Lottery, there is potential of financial and GDPR breach liabilities. On the advantages quoted, re-profile, reputation, private engagement, private, there are none. There are no advantages. More a question of which one would drag the other down even further. The claim would streamline absolute nonsense. Penrith Town Council and Penrith Lottery operate two totally different boundaries. Either the lottery would have to reduce its 5-mile catchment area, thereby losing members in places like Plumpton and Whitby, or the Town Council would have to expand its borders to take in Plumpton, Whitby and even Pullybridge. Otherwise, it's going to mean two different sets of grants covering two different areas, which equals total confusion. Increased PT's grant funding, more nonsense. This is a serious point now. Lotteries operated by a local authority are governed by a different set of rules. As a local authority, Penrith Town Council would have to apply to the Gaming Commission to obtain a new lottery licence. That then requires a local authority running a lottery to employ a person to have overall management control. That's a new appointment. The Gambling Commission calls for a senior manager who is licensed. Penrith Town Council does not have such a licensed officer. So that's the claimed £30,000 which would come into PTC coffers to increase grant funding for our new staff costs. I propose the Town Council rejects this no mandate proposal. PTC, Penrith Town Council, should be concentrating on its core, its resources, on its core functions, not creating a lottery albatross around its neck. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Councillor Holden and then Councillor Jackson.
Yeah, thank you. I was a little bit personally a bit disturbed about this because it is a sort of gambling look at what we do as a town council. I don't think it really matches with what the town council stands for. So that's what I'm a bit worried about. I don't know how many people are members of the Penrith Lottery. I did look up on the lottery website, but there wasn't much information forthcoming about that kind of information. All right, streamline separate grant giving organisations. I mean, we've already seen in our financial papers that we've got under 6,000, I think, left in our grant fund, not allocated yet. How is this going to help if we get more money, and how are people going to differentiate? Is the lottery going to be managed separately to the town council grant fund? Well, there are lots and lots of questions I have about this, and I'm uncertain at this stage about pursuing it.
Just to pick up on a point that you made there, and I think Councillor Thompson made as well, we do struggle to give away the money that we have at the moment, and I do wonder whether having more money would help, or whether it might actually put off some of the people that don't think that they want to apply to a council that might apply to the lottery. You might actually end up with another pot of money that nobody was claiming. I don't know. Councillor Jackson.
Yes, I don't think I have enough information to form an opinion on whether the town council running the lottery is a good thing or a bad thing. But the point of this motion is to try and find out that information. We're not tagging ourselves to anything just yet. And I'm curious that if a member of this council doesn't have, in inverted commas, a mandate to listen to something from the community and bring it to the council, then none of us have a mandate to listen to anything and bring it to the council. I mean, that's how this works, isn't it? We hear things from residents and local organisations, and if we, no, I'm not quite finished, then what is the point of any democratic organisation?
Yeah, what's the point?
I can see the advantages of this, and I'm interested in doing this, but my own view is that it shouldn't, as I think Councillor Pearson said, I'm not sure it should be in our top 10 of things to worry about at the moment. I think that if we go ahead with this, we have to have a long time frame. I think I wouldn't be saying I'd be looking at seeing even the scoping exercise done in the next 4 or 6 weeks, personally.
Just that point that Councillor Thompson and Councillor Holden made, surely the things that any investigation, which is what the motion's about, would discover. That's all.
Well, I felt that it was worth investigating, but I had some reservations as well, mostly around gambling, and the idea that it is kind of like raising, it's not a form of taxation, but it's a kind of stealth raising of money, which is then to be dispensed with in particular ways. And I just wanted to be honest, I am a member, if that's what it is, of the lottery, but I only joined, I didn't want to, because another organisation that I'm a part of insisted that one of the trustees on the board I am was a member in order to be what's the word? Eligible for a grant.
Oh, yeah.
So it cost me £100 a month, a year rather. So just in terms of transparency, I'm a member, but I've never won.
And I was about to say exactly the same. I'm a member because the lottery have awarded Patehill Tenants and Residents Association a grant towards our playing field rejuvenation on the condition that we had some new members, and I felt obliged to be one.
Have you got that noted on the organisation?
just also, is it all right just to put in
Yeah,
again? Just a little note about if all this went ahead, if it did, after any investigation, if that goes ahead. Would the lottery people organisation have an input as to where the grants are allocated? Because I seem to remember from our town council grant application, it was going to, it is, staff members, it's just officers, isn't it? So actually decide where the grants are going to go. So how would that mature?
This would be part of it, that would also have to be part of the scope and investigation exercise.
Councillor Knight, very briefly.
I'm just making sure I can come back at the end
Yeah.
to answer that.
Does anybody else have anything to say?
I just wanted to further add that I do think that there are certain issues, such as being able to consolidate various mutual interests and ideas, which might be worth looking at, alongside the objections that I felt.
Yeah, I think it's because this is a proposal to look into the idea, but I feel there's issues there that lots of the public perceives it as a separate thing to the council, because it become a council thing, as a lottery thing. Why is the lottery having problems with ministries? That's the issue there. I suppose that's the reason why it's happening. Why are they asked to do this? Because of issues. Like gambling is an issue, I think that is all the issues. These, if we agree to go forward with it, then hopefully these issues will come out in the scope.
Yeah, but just listening to all these comments, this does sound like an incredibly complex exercise. I'm just worried that it's going to sink our venerable colleagues.
I think again, what I didn't add on at the start is that I think if this was to seek approval this evening, we would have to look at the proposal Councillor Knight to lead on a lot of the work once the scoping document has been agreed by, through staff, agreed by all members, so all the areas of investigation have been mapped out, because there is a lot of work, and I think everyone's explained tonight a number of areas that need full research. And it would be very time consuming on staff capacity that would come out, staff capacity issues would come out as well.
I'd like to speak again.
Very briefly.
I just don't think that we should ask the officers to do it. We haven't got the resources. And there's other things on our list, more important things on our list. And I say, if this goes ahead, I'll go and speak to Carlisle United tomorrow and put a proposal next month that we take over Carlisle United.
Councillor Knight, would you like to
Accept those.
Almost every comment tonight would be answered within the investigation. The kind of questions that are being raised are the kind of questions that the investigation would raise, and what we need to come to is a well-informed decision. We've been asked by an important organisation within the community if we would look at this. If we don't look at it, I start to wonder, are we going to have this discussion every time somebody brings a motion or some new work is generated because of the workload, or are we going to be an open democratic organisation that judges things on the merits of what's being proposed rather than on the resource available to us? Because if we go down that route, we'd have to have the discussion every time. And I accept it will take some time, and I accept that it'll probably be a long time scale. But can I just raise a couple of things that I thought were not right? I don't think we are struggling to give away grants anymore. I asked that question before I brought this motion, and the answer I got was this year we've been very successful in giving away grants, particularly after Lewis attended that grant day. And if you look at how much grant has been given this year, it's proportionately greater than if it was split over 12 months. We've only got 6k left, and what we start with 25, 30k?
15k in the grants budget and 20 in signature events.
So we're proportional. So we're doing quite well. I mean, the fact that 97 councils think it's a good idea, and the government, of course, have got a lottery scheme, but 97 councils think it's a good idea. I'm not saying it is a good idea. I want to find out, and that's the whole purpose of the investigation. And I want to respond to a community organisation that's important to see what the model is. And we may end up with a completely different outcome to what we expect, because we don't know the questions that need to be asked or how they'll be answered. But I think we have a duty as councillors to look at responding to a legitimate request from a community organisation within Penrith.
Thank you, Councillor. So, just to kind of super summarise, we are voting on whether or not we think that it's a good idea to investigate this. We're not voting on whether or not we do it. We're just voting on whether or not we think it's a good idea to investigate it. And I think we've heard some people say they think that's a bad idea because it's going to waste officers' time, and some people have said that they would like to have the investigation so that we can make an informed decision. So that's what we're voting on. So can I ask who is in favour of the initial investigation? Against?
Someone, one abstention.
One abstention.
So the motion's carried. I think what we'll do is, we'll communicate council rights and then move forward. So we'll do it on that.
Okay.
Could I just ask that, what was the vote on that?
8-4 against 1 abstention.
8-4. Or against?
8 in favour.
1 abstention.
Can I just, I don't, probably not want to, but what's the point of being elected councillor around this table? What's the point of being elected councillor around this
You'll
table?
not even vote.
Yeah.
We all voted. We had a vote, councillor.
We had our say.
We move on to the next agenda item.
You're proposed by somebody who wasn't elected.
We need to move on. Item number 6 is a motion on notice from me that we need to review our climate and biodiversity strategy.
I'm sorry, I'm leaving the meeting. I'm not prepared to go through this undemocratic process that you are adopting. The undemocratic process that Penrith Town Council is adopting.
It is pathetic.
I know you are.
Good night. Right, okay.